Hi friends, welcome back on our YouTube channel. In the current lecture of classical mechanics, we will discuss about principle of virtual work. Now, here we will discuss about principle of virtual work. Basic problem with the constant forces and the Lagrange's equation of motion of the first kind. So first of all, principle of virtual work. Now, before moving to the principle of virtual work, what is virtual displacement? An imaginary displacement which is consistent with the constant relation at a given instant without allowing the real time to change is called a virtual displacement. A virtual infinitesimal displacement is represented by del xi. So delta xi equal to dxi when dt equals to 0, means the real time does not change, or it is actually an imaginary displacement without allowing the real time to change. Now, virtual work. The work done by any force on a particle due to its virtual displacement is called a virtual work. So, if our displacement is virtual displacement, then work will be virtual work. So, delta W, that is virtual work, equal to F dot delta R. Here delta R is virtual displacement. Vector F is actually vector sum of the constant force F and applied force F applied. So, this is actually the sum of applied force and the constant force. So, F equal to constant force plus applied force, and delta R means this one is actually virtual displacement. So this is virtual displacement, this is constant force plus applied force, and this is actually our virtual work. Now, principle of virtual work. The total force for a system in static equilibrium F is equal to vector sum of constant force and applied force. So the total force for a system in static equilibrium is 0. So constant force plus applied force is 0. That is, total force is 0. This is only when the system is in static equilibrium. This F is total constant force. So, virtual work delta W equal to F dot delta R equal to 0, because in static equilibrium the total force F is 0. So, delta W equals to 0. So, delta W equals to 0 and F equals to constant force plus applied force. Now, if we substitute this value from here to here, then delta W equals to F plus F applied dot delta R equals to 0, or F dot delta R plus F applied dot delta R equals to 0. If the virtual work done by the constant force is 0, that is F dot delta R equals to 0, then F applied dot delta R equals to 0. So if the virtual work done by the constant force is 0, that is constant force dot delta R is 0, So the virtual work done by the applied force on a system in static equilibrium is given by delta WA is equal to F applied dot delta R equals to 0, because this is already 0 from here. So delta W applied is equal to F applied dot delta R equals to 0. For a system of n particles, delta W applied is equal to sigma I equals to 1 to n, Fi applied dot delta R equals to 0. Now delta W applied is equal to sigma I equal to 1 to n, Fi applied dot delta R equals to 0. Thus, for a system of particle in static equilibrium, the work done by all the applied forces should vanish, provided that the virtual work done by all the constant force vanishes. So delta W applied, that is the virtual work by applied forces, will be 0 only when the virtual work done by all the constant forces is 0, or the virtual work done by all the constant forces vanishes. And this is called the principle of virtual work. Now we discuss a problem related to virtual work. This is our problem. In figure, two blocks having masses m1 and m2 and a string of length L is connected by them. So this is the mass m1 and this is the block of mass m2, and both are connected through a string having length L. This is the case of scleronomic, holonomic, bilateral and conservative constraint. We have already discussed about the classification of constraint in our earlier lecture. Here we neglect the friction due to pulley. So this is our pulley. Now xm1 is the displacement of block having mass m1 and xm2 is the displacement of block of mass m2. So this mass comes down whereas this goes up. Now acceleration of blocks without involving virtual work, x m1 double dot is equal to m1 minus m2 upon m1 plus m2 into g. So this is the acceleration of blocks without involving virtual work, and this is equal to minus x m2 double dot, because this body comes down whereas this body goes up. So the acceleration on this body will be equal to the acceleration on this body, and both acceleration will be in opposite direction. Now x m1 double dot is equal to minus x m2 double dot. Here x m1 and x m2 are measured from the horizontal plane passing through the center of pulley. For a static situation, x m1 double dot is equal to minus x m2 double dot is equal to 0. So this is when the bodies are in static equilibrium. It means m1 is equal to m2. This is by applying the principle of virtual work, and the constant is magnitude of x m1 plus magnitude of x m2, that is the total length of string, is equal to L. The virtual and real displacement are one and same. Also, a displacement of one block causes an equal and opposite displacement of the other block. For virtual work by applied force is 0, magnitude of x m1 plus magnitude of x m2 equals to L. And since virtual work by applied force is 0, so m1g magnitude of del x m1 minus m2g magnitude of del x m2 equals to 0. m1g is the force for a body moving downward and minus m2g is the force for a body moving in upward direction. And if we differentiate this equation, then magnitude of del x m1 plus magnitude of del x m2 is equal to 0 because L is constant. And therefore m1 is equal to m2. Thus, the virtual work done by the constant forces is 0. Now, basic problem with the constant forces. So, basic problem with the constant forces for one particle motion under a general velocity constant relation g, which is a function of r, r dot and t is equal to 0. Now, Newton's law of motion mr double dot is equal to F applied plus a small f, that is constant force. This F is constant force and this is applied force. So from Newton's law of motion, mr double dot is equal to F applied plus constant force. Equation 2 means this equation is set of three scalar equations and equation 1 is a single scalar equation. Therefore, we have total 4 equations because this is a set of three scalar equations, because here we have r double dot and this is actually general acceleration, which is the combination of x double dot, y double dot and z double dot. So this is an equation of three scalar equation and this is a single scalar equation. So here we have total 4 equations. Now, number of unknown is 3 functions xt, yt, zt are plus 3 components of f, that is constant force. It means total number of unknown are 6. 3 functions are 1, 2 and 3 and 3 components of f, so 3 plus 3, that is 6. So total number of unknown quantities are 6. Thus, we have 4 equations with 6 unknown. It means unique solution cannot be obtained. This does not provide a unique solution because the unique solution will be possible only when the number of unknown quantities are equal to the number of equations. And here we have total 4 equations and number of unknown quantities are 6. So this does not provide a unique solution. So this is the basic problem with constant forces. Now, Lagrange's equation of motion of the first kind. So Lagrange's equation of motion of the first kind, let a constant be non-holonomic. So let h equals to dg by dt and g is a function of r, r dot and t, that is g is a function of position, velocity and time, and h is a function of r, r dot, r double dot and t, that is h is a function of position, velocity, acceleration and time, because h equals to dg by dt. So if we differentiate g, then we obtained h, and hence h is a function of position, velocity, acceleration and time. So h equals to del g by del t plus del g by del r into r dot plus del g by del r dot into r double dot equals to 0. Because g is a function of r dot and t, so h is equal to del g by del t plus del g by del r. We differentiate g with respect to r into del r by del t, that is r dot, plus del g by del r dot. Here we are differentiating g with respect to r dot into del r dot by del t, that is r double dot. So h equals to del g by del t plus del g by del r into r dot plus del g by del r dot into r double dot is equal to 0. Since del g by del t, del g by del r and del g by del r dot does not contain r double dot, so del h upon del r double dot equals to del g by del r dot. Because if we differentiate h partially with respect to r double dot, then this will be 0. This will be 0. And del r double dot upon del r double dot will be 1. So we get del h upon del r double dot equals to del g upon del r dot. So del h upon del r double dot equals to del g by del r dot. It means h depends linearly on r double dot, that is total acceleration of the particle, because r double dot is the total acceleration of the particle. If the constant were holonomic, earlier we have discussed about non-holonomic constraint. So if the constant were holonomic, then g will be the function of position and time, and it is not the function of velocity. And h equals to 0. So h equals to d2g by dt2 is equal to d by dt of dg by dt. And dg by dt means differentiation of g with respect to time. So dg by dt equals to del g by del t plus del g by del r into del r upon del t, that is r dot. So dg by dt equals to del g by del t plus del g by del r into r dot. Now we substitute dg by dt from here to here. Then h equals to d by dt of del g by del t plus del g by del r into r dot. Now if we differentiate del g by del t plus del g by del r dot totally with respect to time, then so d by dt of del g by del t plus d by dt of del g by del r dot. Now if we differentiate del g by del t with respect to time, then this will be del by del t of del g by del t plus del by del r of del g by del t into del r upon del t. So this is del 2g by del t2. So del 2g by del t2 plus del by del r of del g by del t, del by del r of del g by del t into del r by del t into del r by del t. Now if we differentiate del g by del r dot with respect to time, then this will be d by dt of del g by del r into r dot plus del g by del r is constant, and we differentiate r dot with respect to time, so del r dot by del t, or del 2g by del t2 plus del 2g by del r del t. So del 2g by del r del t, this is r dot plus d by dt of del g by del r into r dot. So d by dt of del g by del r into r dot plus del G by del R as it is, and del R dot by del T is R double dot. So H is del 2G by del T2 plus del 2G by del R del T R dot plus d by dt of del G by del R into R dot plus del G by del R R double dot. Now, these three terms does not contain R double dot. So, if we differentiate H with respect to R double dot partially, that is del H upon del R double dot, then this will provide 0 and this give 1 and this will be constant. So, del H by del R double dot is equal to del G by del R. So, del H upon del R double dot equals to del G by del R. So, if the constraints are holonomic, then we get del H upon del R double dot equals to del G by del R. And if the constraints are non-holonomic, then del H upon del R double dot equals to del G upon del R dot, which is clear from here. Now, del H upon del R double dot equals to del G by del R. So it is clear that H again linearly related to R double dot. So either constraints are holonomic or non-holonomic. H linearly related to R double dot. This was the case of holonomic and this was the case of non-holonomic. Thus, both del H upon del R double dot are a vector function of position and time, and they are also the function of velocity, that is R dot, if the constraint is non-holonomic. Also, H is linearly dependent on acceleration, that is R double dot. Now, H equals to dg by dt equals to 0 for non-holonomic and H equals to d2g by dt2 equals to 0 for holonomic. So, in case of non-holonomic constraint, H equals to dg by dt equals to 0, and in case of holonomic, H equals to d2g by dt2 equals to 0. So, H equals to dg by dt equals to 0 and H equals to d2g by dt2 equals to 0. So, these two equations are additional constraint equation on the total acceleration. So, general form is 0 is equal to some function of position, velocity and time plus del H upon del R double dot R double dot. So, constant force must be parallel to del H upon del R double dot, or F is equal to lambda del H upon del R double dot, because F must be parallel to del H upon del R double dot. So F equals to lambda times del H upon del R double dot, and here lambda is unknown scalar. So this is unknown scalar quantity. Since G is a function of position, velocity and time are given, so H, that is F, are known except for lambda, because F is equal to lambda del H upon del R double dot and this lambda is unknown scalar, so F are known except for lambda. So there are 4 unknown and 4 independent equations giving simultaneous solution for R. Therefore, F is uniquely determined, which is not possible when we deal with the constant forces. So, Newton's equation of motion mr double dot minus F applied minus lambda del H upon del R double dot equals to 0. for holonomic one particle system, and del H upon del R double dot equals to del G by del R. So m R double dot minus F applied minus lambda del G by del R equals to 0. This is for holonomic one particle system, and for non-holonomic one particle system, del H upon del R double dot equals to del G by del R dot. So this del H upon del R double dot is replaced by del G by del R dot. So Newton's equation of motion for non-holonomic one particle system is mr double dot minus F applied minus lambda del G by del R dot, and here G is a function of position, velocity and time, is equal to 0. Now mr double dot minus F applied minus lambda del H upon del R double dot equals to 0, and mr double dot minus F applied minus lambda del G by del R equals to 0, because del H upon del R double dot equals to del G by del R. Also mr double dot minus F applied minus lambda del G by del R dot equals to 0, because del H upon del R double dot equals to del G by del R dot. So these are the Newton's equation of motion for one particle system related to non-holonomic and holonomic system. Above equations are called Lagrange's equation of the first kind, and here lambda is known as Lagrange's undetermined multiplier. So here we end our session. In today's session we have discussed about Lagrange's equation of motion of the first kind, and also what are the basic problems related to constraint forces. So goodbye.